Hi everyone, and here we are again. Today we are going to discuss web services. We are going to see how to implement already existing web services into our application, and we are going to see how to create some web service. So web service is nothing but, for example, some type of a network component that will help your application to do some job for her. For example, it will search a database and return the result to your application. It will do something, some mathematical operations and such. So I'm going to create a new VCL Forms application, and let's say that my application wants to, for example, multiply two numbers, and I want to use a web service that will multiply those two numbers and return it to my application. So here on this link you have already existing web service. It is called calculator, and it has 4 operations. So add, divide, multiply, subtract. So we will implement this web service into our own application. How to do it? Well, first I'm going to save file new other VSDL importer. So what is VSDL? Well, in order to use any type of web service, you need to know its description. So we have here service description. This VSDL is nothing but an XML file that describes the web service, meaning everything that your application needs to know in order to utilize that web service, its methods, its parameters, and everything else that is required. So what I need is to copy this link, and okay, so he asks me about location of the VSDL. I paste it here, next, finish. And now what happened, my IDE generated 2 files, calculator CPP and calculator H. So let's see, these 2 files are only thing that is required in order my application to use that web service. Well, let's see, CPP. I will include this calculator H into my own application. And now comes the tricky part. So I say when I click this button, I want that existing web service multiplies 2 numbers and return the result to me. So I need to find interface for my SOAP service, and here it is. Okay, this is the calculator SOAP interface. I copy it here. This is the object type, okay, and I'm going to say my calc. This is the name of the object that represents the web service, equals get calculator SOAP. Okay, so I now created a web service object, meaning this type, and now I can use its methods. For example, show message, and now I automatically have all these methods that are supported by the web service. For example, multiply 5 and 6. Let's run this. So what happened? Our application connected to that web service and asked him to multiply 2 numbers. Let's say add. Okay, so now it's 5 plus 6, 11. And that is how it's done. It's really simple. Only 3 steps. You need to use VSDL importer, and once these files are generated, you need to find interface with the SOAP end on it and create an object of that type. And by using the method of that object, you can use all these methods, add, subtract, multiply, divide, and so on. So it's real simple. After you use VSDL importer, include the header and create an object that represents the web service and call its methods. So, well, that is how to implement already existing web service. But now let's create a new web service. File, new, other, and the web service SOAP server application. Okay, so here he asks us what type of application will that be. Will that be a standalone VCL application, meaning our service will be operational only when that application works, or will it be a console application, dynamic link library, or a standalone exe for the CGI, right? So I'm going to demonstrate this standalone VCL application. Next, find the port. Okay, finish. Create interface for SOAP model. Yes. And now we are going to create an interface. For example, my web service test. I can generate some sample methods. I will do that in order just to show you how to work with newly created web service. And I'm going to create, I'm going to save everything. Here, my web service. Okay. And when I run this, now let's see what will happen. I got the VCL Forms application that represents a web service, and I say start, asks me about the firewall, I allow it, open browser, and now let's see what we have. Our existing web service has 4 methods: echo enum, double array, struct, double. Now let's see its VSDL. Okay, so how can we use this? Well, I'm going to close this. Let's see what we have here. So what we have here is a way to add something to the web service. For example, our web service has that 4 methods, and they are here. They are here in this interface. An interface only contains the virtual function prototypes. So I'll add some new method, for example, virtual integer sum, and it's going to be a pure virtual function. Okay, and in here, now in the CPP file, I have a class that implements that interface, and in here I will also declare that function, but here it won't be a virtual function. Okay, it's sum, and it will simply return A plus B. Let's run this. Start, open browser, and as you can see, our function sum is here. Open VSDL. Let's search for sum. Sum, it has A and B as parameters. Okay, return type is also integer. So meaning our VSDL document is automatically generated. Okay, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave this application working, and I'm going to create another application, new project. I'm going to create an application that will use this web service, VCL Forms application, and like in the first time, I'm going to add a button, and now I need to add this web service that I just created into my application. How? Well, it's like the first time. I need the VSDL of this web service. Open browser, VSDL, and I'm going to save this as my web service test VSDL. Save. So now I have my VSDL saved, and file no other. Now I'm going to import that VSDL. And here it is. So this is the VSDL document from the web service that we just created. Next, finish. And like in the first case, we get CPP and H file. So how to use that? Well, I'm going to find myself. This is my interface object. Well, first of all, I need to add this H file, header file. I need to add it in my application. And so I'm going to create web service object. My web service object equals get interface my web service test. And now I'm going to say show message my VS, and here is my method sum, and here are the other methods that were also in the web service. Sum okay, so I have web service running, and I have my application that connected to this web service and used it to for subtracting two numbers. Now if I try to use this, my web service is stopped. Okay, I cannot use the web service because it's not running. I start web service and it's running. So guys, that is how it's done. There are some stuff here that you need to practice in order to fully realize how things are done here, but as you can see, it is really not that complicated like anything else in C++ builder. So try it for your own, and well, if you have any problems, just type in your comments and we'll see how to go from there. Okay guys, thank you for watching, and well, see you later.